Hello everyone, welcome to round number 7 at Road Atlanta for the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. I'm Corey Maddock, and joining me in the car will be Will Benson. We have to get this one going pretty quickly due to delay. Drivers are on the starting grid with Rico Alatalo in pole position. We're going to get underway here at Road Atlanta. Martin instantly slopped in from P number 2. We've got Giorgio Zagretti though in P number 3, ready and waiting to challenge down in towards turn number 1. Stephen Gates with P number 4. Sketchy SS section. We've had an incident at the back of the field though involving Manny Domingo and Jack Hobbs. That's the number 21 and the 6 that had an issue on the first lap here. It's a major incident for Manny Domingo. Again, trying to challenge the car in from Boa, and then he cracks straight into the path of Gabriel Alvaro, and Alvaro just completely spins it into the concrete wall coming up the hill.
Blame Microsoft for this one, actually. True replays we have got Maciej Kalistani down to the inside. And he's got himself an advantage.
Battle for P number 2, Morgan Moran getting himself back past Giorgio Zagretti. Zagretti had made the pass on the previous lap, coming down into the chicane at the end of the lap, which is where one of the main overtaking opportunities here is at this racetrack. And Zagretti, he messed up a little bit of the exit there at the start of it, and just compromises all of his momentum, all of his line coming up towards turn number 5. And now Stephen Gatesman really hot on his heels onto the brakes into turn number 6, but no opportunity arising right now for Gatesman as he'll have to stay in line. And now with these guys battling for the final podium spots, basically the job for Rico Alatalo, as he has done so for a couple of races so far this season, is just try and run for the hills at the front.
We do have to unfortunately take your radio mode for a moment. Just need to sort something out. But Connor, yeah, you talked about this, the fact that he has been fantastic as Rico Alatalo pretty much all season long, been the dominant driver, many would argue, in this series. And you're right, it's just a case of driving through. But Road Atlanta is a track where there is difficulty happening pretty much at every turn. And, well, for Alatalo, he's just got to make sure he stays on the grey stuff.
Yep, he really does. We're going on to lap number 3 now, down the S's. They will go, and Alatalo already has a decent gap over his competitor, standing around about 1.3 seconds at the moment at the front of the field. So Alatalo's done a very good job to get himself away from all the challenges behind, and we have to only look back to the last round at Donington Park to see how much of a battle that sometimes he gets himself in, especially when the driver behind is called Morgan Moran, who ended up winning that particular event. And Moran, his whole strategy for the previous race was his early race pace, he couldn't keep up with Alatalo, but late on in the race, Will, Moran was able to find something more and able to challenge for the race lead come the end, so despite a little bit of rejoin the racetrack. He does make contact with another car. That was Patrick Thornburg in number 14. Causes all the cars behind to scatter themselves across the racetrack. So a couple of retirees already in this round in 7. Atlanta, Suarez, exactly right there. Well, Jack Hobbs is the last car that's out there running, at least the current last position out running. So he tries to find his way around the racing circuit. But the thing is, just spotted, just like switch back to Rico Alatalo. He had a massive twitch coming down the hill towards the final corner. He was able to recover it though, but that's sometimes how sketchy this racetrack can be with the bumps, with the undulations, because coming down through the final turn, you've got that huge compression as that decline becomes more into a leveling out. So the car is under a lot of load, and there's a lot of bumps coming through there that can really upset the car. The other issue as well is up through the exit of turn number 5.
Yeah, we've got ourselves another incident. That is Rob Bower on track, getting ourselves a replay for you now. This is up the top of the hill. Apologies for some of the issues we had this afternoon, this evening, ladies and gentlemen. But here is Rob Bower up the hill through turn number 2, the left-hand king. Back end just steps out on him, and it's a very slow, very boring spin. Then down at the run through turn number 3, Connery. He is back on track, but he's now down to P number 12.
Yeah, he is 3 positions down on his qualifying. He can recover this one somewhat, though, because he has Claudio Candio just ahead of him. So as long as he can keep it on that grey stuff, then he will be able to challenge Candio at some point over the next couple of laps. But again, not close enough into the chicane this time around. But your main battle will be between the podium position runners, because Moran's in second place, Zagretti and Gatesman. Those that pair behind is a little bit closer, despite it's not looking right now coming up through the S's, because these guys, you know, they are in open wheel high downforce cars. They do suffer a lot from the dirty air, and the S's section is going to be the place where you're going to feel that the most. But up through turn number 6 and 7, and then these long straights that you get here at Road Atlanta, you can make up an advantage again coming into the next braking zone.
You can, and we're putting in a good opportunity to see this, as Rob Bower has just gone off track again. Gap between Simon Gatesman is down to about 1 second over Giorgio Zagretti. Zagretti is still though in the draft of Morgan Moran, and that is about going for second and third place, Connery. And because you do go down that long back straightaway, in fact that back straightaway is longer than the front stretch and the run between turn 5 and turn 7, so that really is your key overtaking opportunity, because it's actually easier to overtake into the chicane than it is into, I don't know, turn 1 here, which is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an attempt into turn 1. It's not always going to turn out the way you perhaps want it if you're the car trying to get past there. It is a really tough corner. It's one that has a very, very late apex as well, so it's really inviting to dive yourself down the inside. But that car on the outside is always going to try and cut and cross your nose coming the exit of the corner. We've had Rob Bower go off again in the number 8. That's down towards that turn number 1, and this is just exemplifying what I just described, kind of, as he tries to go across and defend the move on the inside and slot, maybe in this case, slot behind Andreas Nielsen. But again, it's the late apex of turn 1 that's just sent Rob Bower off there, as there's a car already occupying it. Yeah, indeed, son. It's that run down the back straight away. This is where you see the gaps close. There's currently 3/10 of a second between Mutchinson and Ollie Quoker. Quoker in the number 11 machine as they come down towards that chicane, the left and the uphill right-hander. Of course, Road Atlanta being the home of the Petit Le Mans, really the final round of the endurance season. Of course, you've got the first round really of the endurance season, the Rolex 24, tomorrow and Saturday. Colin, what a great weekend we had. Reliving the first ever day-night iRacing 24. Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic experience. If you haven't seen it, then there's been posts on our Facebook, posts on our Twitter as well, just of the start-finish line cam, just as the sun was setting, going into the darkness, or rather the artificial light at Daytona. It was absolutely incredible to see, and we're going to get more of that over the next couple special events as well. We've got Bathurst, which is going to be an absolutely picturesque affair with Mount Panorama, just all of the scenery that goes on that sort of race. That's going to be absolutely brilliant. And it starts, correct me if I'm wrong, it starts sort of a sunset, I believe, or a sunrise. Yes. Kind of. Yes, you are. One of the two. One of the two. We've been having a look at that battles, just say, for P number 8 and 9 on track. Just to let you know, there are battles going on behind. But Rico Alatalo and Morgan Moran, the gap is up to 1.6 now, Connery. And Rico Alatalo has basically been doing Rico Alatalo things, just as you said. He's been driving away. The gap's up to 1.6 seconds now.
on track. And playing a little game, by the way, here today, Connery. How quickly can I click on and off of a screen? Because, as I say, it's a Microsoft issue, we think, where it's distorting the frame rate every time I put a graphic up. So I've got to click really quickly in order to try and get back onto iRacing. So we had the fun in the Monday Night Skippy stream, and now we've got another one, which is making our life a bit fun today.
Yeah, exactly. It was a YouTube issue not letting us stream to a Microsoft issue actually playing around with our graphics.
Where's Google
iRacing,
when I need them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, maybe ATVO's like stealing focus from iRacing. I don't know. We just have to get on to Simon about that one. But on to lap number 10, we will go. The battling out there on track. Well, there isn't much of it right now. What there is, though, is number 8 spinning again. That's Rob Boa. He's had an absolute nightmare of a race so far, and he's exemplifying one of the issues coming up through turn number 5 as well. Just that exit. You can see how inviting that exit curve is. But again, that section of the track is just so very bumpy. It's so easy for the cars to break loose here, especially in the Formula Renault 3.5 that doesn't like curbs in the first place.
Yeah, with Hutchinson then in towards turn number 5. They come again as Hutchinson actually then just gets a little bit loose in the exit turn number 5. Very easy to do. Many people want to run at the outside through turn 5 and really then kind of abuse the exit, a bit like at the exit of the third chicane, the discouraged chicane at Monza. But it's also very easy in a downforce car, Connery, to end up in a situation where you are putting a little bit too much pressure and oversteering the car.
Yeah, could definitely be an issue. Manuel Hoyer, though, in the slipstream of Ollie Kvoka, battle for P number 7. Oh, well, almost looked to happen going down into the chicane, but Ollie Kvoka's overshot the first apex of the chicane. Allows Hoyer to battle back, coming up through the final corner. This can be a bit sketchy, but both drivers manage to hold it. Kvoka goes out onto the grass, trying to challenge across the start-finish line, but Hoyer able to gain the position by the time turn number 1 arrives, and even extends his gap on the exit of the corner as well. That was fantastic stuff from Hoyer, just not giving up on that inside. Yeah,
indeed. So just going and having a look then at that battle, staying for P number 7, but behind he's got a battle going on for P number 11 as well on track now, Connery. That is between Gabriel Martin Alvadro and Claudio Candio for P number 10. You can see the 2 yellow machines, thrust masks wanted at the rear. That is Gabriel in the number 17 car.
Yes, it is, as those guys will get themselves going. We've got, you're exactly right, it's Alvarado involved in this one, and Claudio kind of not too far down the road, but Candio has been putting in some good laps over the past couple. 107.1 last time compared to Alvarado's 108.5, so Alvarado needs a little bit more if he's going to decide to break himself inside of that top 10, which is going to be the aim for many of the drivers that qualified at the back of the field. But battle for P number 7 again, Ollie Kvoka down the inside at turn number 1. Such overspeed coming down through there. I have to, well, he's going to have to be using DRS to pull off a move like that with such speed down in towards turn number 1.
Yeah, here's a replay. On board with Ollie Kvoka. Exit the final corner. And yeah, you're going to be right there, Connie. That's got to be a DRS. Even the 2 tenths of a second for having race spot stickers on your car is not going to justify that speed.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's one thing I request of the iRacing API developers is that please put in a value for DRS open or closed. That will help us out a lot so we can get that involved in our graphics. But Manuel Hoyer now, he's going to look to make a move back here, coming down the back straight. He can sit in that slipstream all he wants down to the chicane, but it's just a case of if he can be close enough, and the answer is going to be no this time, as they'll file their way through there. We've had the number 8 actually come down on towards the lane, so things go from bad to worse for Rob Boa in this situation, and I have to think he's just going to stop it on pit lane there, and he's going to actually have to reverse to try and find his pit box. So, you always have one of those races sometimes where just absolutely nothing goes your way, and that's what's happening to Boa at the moment.
Yeah, it is, but out front, it is 2.2 seconds, Ricky Alatalo over Morgan Moran, and we've got the graphic up, Conway. Your top 8 drivers now separated by 22 seconds on track. It is a clinic being put on by Ricky Alatalo up front, but actually behind, I believe this was lap traffic there that was going side by side. But behind, Moran is still trying to close that gap back up, and we have seen that that Alatalo will lead early, and then later on, the gap closes down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It happened last time out, and Morand was able to pull things back and be able to challenge at the end of the race, and that's a fantastic lap there from Morand. In fact, it's 106.5 compared to Alatalo's 106.8, so he's starting to edge that gap back in now, and if trends from previous races are to continue, we might just have a battle at the end of the race between these guys. But we've had the number 9 go off. That's Manuel Hoyer coming up to well, just through the second apex of the chicane. In fact, he gets himself slowed down coming up to it. I have to wonder if it's going to be an issue with the curb. It is, well, he runs over the curb, but then it's just a lazy spin coming through the middle of the chicane out into the gravel. Doesn't hit the concrete wall as well, so his car is all fine, but he did have to wait a moment to just get that car spun back around and rejoin the track, and he's all the way down MP number 10 now as a result.
Yeah, that's a shame there for Hoyer, as we've been going on board of him now. Through turn number 5, he works. And yeah, he had a good start to that race, Connery, but this is the thing. These races, they are just long enough that the mental fatigue can kick in. You wonder about how long the race is going to be. And these cars are very hard to drive. Yes, they're fast, and yes, it's easy to go fast-ish in them, but to actually go properly fast can be far more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just a newcomer jumping into this car like I was when it was first released, it's just like, oh my god, this car is, once you tweak the setup to your liking, is the baseline isn't ideal, but once you get the setup sorted, it's a huge amount of fun to drive, and you think, oh my god, I'm going so quick, as long as you're careful with the exit oversteer. But then you look at these guys running multiple seconds a lap faster than I ever could, and you're just like, oh wait, there's so much more pace in this car. And I thought when I was running and testing that I was absolutely flying out there, but that's always the situation with some of us amateur drivers, like looking at some of these more pro level drivers, just like, how are they gaining like 2 seconds? I'm right on the edge of my own laps.
Moran's looking down to the inside for the race lead, Connery, and he's got it.
Oh my god, that happened way too quickly. Oh my god, I was looking at the gap and it was around about 2 seconds across the line last time by. Alatalo must have made a mistake. And he did. It was coming up to turn 3, and he just went straight over the curb, straight over the second apex curb of the apexes as well. And Morand, he was able to close up that gap, and more importantly, complete the pass over Alatalo now. So we have our battle on. Yeah, here's the replay from Rico Alatalo. He just clipped the curb the wrong way round and went off track, lost a second and a half. And Marin was like, okay, I'm going to go for this. Let's actually go back on board now. Moran, and let's show you how he closed up through turn number 5. He got that gap down to about 4 car lengths, and from then on in, Connery, as soon as you exit turn 7, DRS activated. Exactly, and Rico Alatalo now, if he's got to have some DRS saves and saved, and he does close up into the chicane this time. Not going to go down the inside, but we've got, again, similar issue to what we had at Donington Park, Will, is black traffic ahead that Morgan Morand and Alatalo have to deal with. That black traffic gets way to the outside. Going through the final corner. Here comes Alatalo, though, straight down the inside, going through turn 1 then. Can he hold it through there? They'll both be able to hold it through there as they come up to the start of this section. This blind apex at turn number 3. Alatalo goes straight over it, and Morand is able to defend. Fantastic racecraft from both. Moran spectacular there. DRS being open by Rico Alatalo on the run down towards turn number 1, but Moran kept it in there outside turn 1, runs it through turn number 2, gets the move done, but we still got ourselves 8 laps of racing to go. Yep, we do. So plenty of time to get this battle for the race lead sorted. And don't count out Giorgio Segretti in the background of this one. He's sitting a couple of tenths of a second off of this bell and can definitely be a dark horse in terms of the race win. Alatalo not brave enough again down the inside of turn number at turn 10A and turn 10B there, as the Americans name the chicanes. As Morgan Morans again lap traffic and they impede him slightly coming through the final turn, and now Rico Alatalo, he can just dive in and get that draft off lap traffic to gain any tenths of a second, even hundredths of a second possible in terms of lap time to try and catch his competitor back up. Yeah, 4 tenths of a second gap between these two drivers. We are going to have ourselves 7
laps left to go in this one. And Connie, it's been a fun little race. Not a lot of overtaking, not a lot of action going on around the track at certain points, but we still got 4 battles going on track. We're going to turn our attention to one other one. That's the battle between Lepala and Stephen Gatesman. But Rico Alatale and Morgan Moran, that is the one we are going to want to be paying attention to really over the course of the next couple of laps, because that is going to be the key one, I think, as I think it's all going to come down to who has the most DRS remaining.
That is going to be the important factor, because DRS is so OP coming down a very, very long straight, and we have that from turn number 7 all the way down to turn 10A and turn 10B chicane. So Alatalo is definitely going to be well aware of this. Same with Morgan Morand as well. Close to turn 1 this time. It's also going to be an issue, Will, of how this lap traffic falls as well, because it's the exact same problem that we had at Donington Park. Morand messes up turn 3 there, has to dive down the inside of the traffic. So does Alatalo. This lap traffic is learning its lesson from the last race and getting themselves well out of the way so that this battle can continue.
You know, every year at the Indy 500, we used to talk about weight jacket and anti-roll bars, and I always feel that it's not a Road Atlanta race unless I mention be prepared to lose time, Connery, because you have to be prepared when you're running in lap traffic to lose a bit of time. We go and turn it to the forward. You see Moran now has a clear track for the next couple of laps, but you've got to be prepared to take some not normal line, shall we say, because it's a small track and it's also a fast track, so lap traffic does get caught early.
Oh, Alto had a look at the inside of turn 10 that time, but he's just sort of sizing up his prey right now. He's just sort of playing with him a little bit before he can get this run through the final corner and challenge into turn 1 this time. Alatalo again on the inside, Morant again on the outside. They'll make it work again as well as they get onto the brakes for 3. And Morant, he's holding position so well, gets squirrely over the curb a little bit, and now Alatalo is just hounding his rear wing through the S's section. And then there's 3rd place as well. That's tagged himself right onto the back of the train. George Zagretti is like, okay, you guys have had your fun. Now I'm going to get myself involved in the party.
That's incredible. We've got a 3-horse race all of a sudden for your race lead, Conor. I didn't even notice that's Zagretti in the number 5 car until he was right there on top, and I wonder how much DRS he has remaining.
Exactly, because these 2 guys at the front have been slowing each other down by taking these alternate lines through the corners. So Zagretti, he may have much more DRS potential in reserve to use right in the dying moments of this race to try and breeze by these guys coming down the back straight. As up and down the hill they will go through the final turn. Alatalo, he's preferred this run out of the final corner as opposed to the move down into the chicane instead, but he's tried twice. He hasn't been able to complete either move though, because Morant is so strong on that outside line.
And Zagretti bent it in turn 1.
Aww. We were just hyping you up, Giorgio. We were just hyping you up, and you go and do that. Let's have a look at what happens here. It's just taking a bit too much out of turn 1. Bit too much big corner speed up over the curb on the exit as well, which basically hooks the car like a rail and spits him onto the grass.
Yeah, I just want to apologise again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you joining us. What you see is not lag. It's just an issue we've got with stuttering when we use our graphical overlay, which is why we've been keeping it for the most part on onboards. As here comes Alatalo to the outside.
And he gets the pass complete before the chicane arrives. Morant will reply somewhat in the slipstream, and then the DRS looking for that inside. The door was half open, but you can't squeeze yourself through there if you're Morgan Morant. Over the Suzuki Bridge, Rico Alatalo regains the race lead after what was a 2.5 second gap at the start of the race. But here comes Morant with the DRS around the outside. He's made this work in defense. Can he make it work on the offense? He can. Fantastic driving from the Frenchman. That's unbelievable. Moran's got himself back ahead.
I tell you what, that's going to be on SportsCenter. If this was ESPN, that needs to be in the iRacing top 10 of the month, because it takes a brave driver to go around the outside at the best of times, Connery. But when you've got Riku Alatalo as the driver you're overtaking, this is a track like Riku Alatalo scored his first ever pole position in the World Championship Grand Prix Series when he wasn't even a licensed driver. He qualified in to the event and got pole position for it. And this is Alatalo's best track. Alatalo's going to come back down the chicane, but going around the outside, my word, what a move by Morand.
Oh, that iRacing top 10. We were just talking about the iRacing top 10's last race of how many battles could get itself in that shortlist. But my word, that pass from Morand, he's going to have to defend again around the outside through turn number 1, as well as Alatalo down the inside. Finally, almost able to complete the move. He does complete it. Morand has to hit the brakes though and back out with the throttle as well. So Alatalo, he's saying, okay, gloves are off now.
I was going to say, it's Royal Rumble weekend this weekend. Can I just say, saying a Royal Rumble weekend is harder than you think when you're commentating. JR would say right now, Connery, business has just picked up. Moran dropping back a little bit this lap, but maybe he's just setting himself up for the last lap right now, figuring out what he needs to do. There was no contact between the drivers, but it was mighty close.
Yeah, it was so close indeed between the two, and I don't think that we've seen the last of this one, as the gap has extended somewhat. I will concede that point, 0.6 of a second into the chicane this time, but Morgan Morand, he's already made up a gap over 2.5 seconds with the help of Rico Alatalo in the early stages of the race. There's no reason why he can't do it again as well, especially when there's bits of lap traffic out there to contend with. So Morand, there's a little bit of a break in the race now, a little bit of a lull where you can just get yourself calmed down, get that heart rate down, and then look into the final lap maybe to get yourself past. But Morand, he needs to do a little bit more work here. He does close up coming up through the S's though, and that's going to be it extends actually till 0.7 of a second up through turn number 5. So Alatalo now, he's almost looking clear, but we've still got 1.5 laps to go.
We do, but the thing is, so 0.8 of a second, it's a long way back from here. 0.8 of a second, you've got a lot of work to go. I think Rico Alatalo just put in a qualifying lap in sector 1 there to just try and pull out a bit over Moran. He's going to have to start closing. The gap remains at 8.5 of a second down towards the chicane. And while Moran's lost his best overtaking opportunity here, because the start-finish line so early, you've really got to make the pass before you get down into the chicane.
The final lap, white flag is out there on circuit as Rico Alatalo will dive himself past the start-finish line. Gap stands at 8.5 of a second on this final lap. So the longer this goes on, the more likely that Alatalo will take this race with no mistakes this time up through turn 3 and turn 4. That's just going to extend his advantage at the front. So Alatalo now keep it on the grey stuff through turn 5. That is so important with how that curve can catch you out. Gap up to a second now. Alatalo, it is go time. He's got the afterburners on as he goes through turn 7, and Morand, even DRS won't be able to help him here unless he makes an almighty lunge down the inside at the chicane, but I don't think he has any left. Alatalo's even extended the gap coming down the straight, so after an absolutely titanic battle between two of the best drivers here in the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 series, a repeat of the battle at Donington Park, but this time Rico Alatalo comes out on top. Fantastic stuff for Glacier Racing. Moran finishes 1 second behind, but oh my word, those battles in the late stages, Will.
Fantastic run. Rico Alatalo, what a job he's done here today. Moran and the drivers behind him, they have all done a great job. But Connery, I mean, what a race we had. What a battle we had for the last 5 laps. He got to stay on the last one, but behind, just giving you up to date, Matteo Calistani was close to Claudio Candio, as in fact they're just heading themselves through the final corner. Now that gap was 0.6 of a second. Matteo Calistani finishes 8th. That was the only real close battle inside your top 10 at the end.
Oh my god, I just need to catch my breath a little bit as even Morand, as the P2 runner, does some donuts up at turn number 3. It's quite fitting since Alatalo has already taken the tow back to pit lane, but this is how your finishing results turn out. Rico Alatalo winning by 1 second over Morgan Morand, but that gap was completely inseparable for the vast majority of that second half of the event. But Alatalo able to hold strong against a fierce and incredibly defensive Morgan Morand. Giorgio Segretti, after the late race problem, he's going to drop back 5.4 seconds behind, still finishing P number 3, but oh, what could have been for Segretti if he'd able to keep with those front two. Ville Lepla, quiet race, getting himself up into P4 with Stephen Gatesman P5. Ollie Foka, though, out of nowhere, gains 11 positions up into P6 after starting 17th. Claudio Candio gains himself 1 up into 7th with Calistani 8th. Gabriel Alvaro there, P9, with Manuel Hoyer ending up exactly where he started in P10. Then you look at the cars outside the top 10, 1 lap down. Andreas Nielsen with Jack Hobbs bringing things down to P12. Jesper Tulp and Patrick Vartenberg bring things down to P14 with Klaus Simetz, Thomas Knoll, John McCutchinson with at Amage finishing in 17th place, with Rob Boa having major issues as well in P18. And your final runners are Ruslan Sabatov, Manu Domingo, and Pablo Lumberos Suarez. Join us in a couple of moments then as we'll get on with the post-race show.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it now. Let's just do it now because Rico Alatalo, he's here and he's with his best friend Will Vincent.
Ricky Atulu, good win.
Thank you.
How was the race?
Pretty good.
Battles going on, fantastic battles in Morand in the last part of the event. He took her on the outside of turn number 1. Did you expect that?
Oh, definitely not. I didn't think he had the balls to do that, but yeah, he did. So I was surprised about that.
You then got that's not Mattia Calistani winning the race. That's Ricky Alatalo winning the race. So you ended up getting the move back the next lap down the inside, and then you held on the last couple of laps. How hard were you pushing at the end? How much DRS did you have in reserve?
Well, I noticed that he had a lot less downforce, so that I would have a very hard time passing him, and I would run out of 6th gear on the back straight, so I realized I had to make the move in turn 1, and that I did, and then luckily I had some leftover DRS for the rest of the back straight laps, so every back straight I used my DRS so he wouldn't get close, and yeah.
Well, round number 7 of the championship is in the book. He still, however, got 5 rounds remaining in this championship, and next time out you and your fellow drivers are going to Interlagos. Looking forward to it?
It's an okay track, I guess. Not like I'm not too happy about it. I'm not sad about it, so it's like neutral.
Well, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done?
Thanks to Glacier and thanks to Ville for coming to race with me this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Riku Alatalo.
Thank you.
Well, Rico Alatalo winning this time in his battle with Morgan Morand. So the advantage switches this time, but I wouldn't mind if we have a battle between these two every single round until the end of the season right now, because these guys, they put on a show, Will.
Yeah, and of course, next time out at Interlagos, you got some fantastic opportunities. You got Cenaret, of course. You got turn number 4, of course. If you're crazy enough, turn number 6 around the outside. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely brilliant, and I just simply cannot wait for it. And, if some of these other drivers can also get themselves involved in battles in the final laps as well, as we saw Segretti almost do before he had an issue, then that would be absolutely fantastic as well. But, into those final couple of rounds of the season, you do have to start talking about championships. And, well, Rico Alatalo, he's going to pick up a very healthy points haul off of the back of this one. It's just a case of, can anyone challenge him coming up through towards those last races?
Yeah, indeed. So, really looking forward to the end of the season. You've got Interlagos, Imola, VIR. Now, that's going to be a fun one at Virginia International Raceway. Monza, and of course, where else to finish, Connery? But Spa.
Yeah, what a racetrack to finish off a season. I cannot wait. I simply cannot wait. But That's going to be all that we have time for here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. That was round number 7 at Road Atlanta for the Formula Renault 3.5 series. And join us next week for more insane, close action. Goodbye.